The Rams have met with this elite defender at the NFL Combine. Could he end up in the horns? Also, Anthony Richardson to the Rams and what Matthew Stafford could be doing in his life after football. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
All right.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button for your Los Angeles Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleach Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. And as always, I'm joined by the Rams pre-half and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's going to be entering his 12th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's episode, we're talking NFL Combine. Who are the Rams meeting with? Who should they be looking at? Also, the Rams are looking to get an extension done with one of their current players. Was that a good decision? And an analyst throws out the idea of the Rams trading for Anthony Richardson. We got the pros and cons of that. And Matthew Stafford, what he'll be possibly doing after he retires. Hopefully that is a couple years down the line and after a couple Super Bowls with the Rams. All that more. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Travis, by the way, we get a lot of good comments this week. We get a comment from this guy named Tom Stevens who said, guys, I watched every single episode of Locked On Rams for the last 3 years, and the analysis is great. The banter is great. You got to look for the micro stuff, though. The look on Travis's face when D-Mac threw out the idea of Russell Wilson to the Rams was priceless. Also, when D-Mac threw out there that Stetson Bennett was turning 49 in October, but Travis didn't realize he said it, and he was looking for him to laugh, and then he went right to the break. Priceless stuff. Sorry, D-Mac. So that was from Tom Stevens. So shout out to the people. I didn't know people. I know people watch this show. I didn't know they were looking for like the looks of the. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Now that I know that Tom is clocking the micro looks, I'm going to be a little more aware of what it is. And I did catch Stetson Bennett late. Tom is right. I didn't catch it in real time the way I should have because it was well done. It was art. It was so well done, Doug, that it actually took me a second to process.
No, it was trash. It was trash, bro. I'm not trying. Like, it's all good. You know what I mean? Like, it's all good. You know, it's a low hanging fruit, man. I thought it was funny. Like, this, like, I want to see Tom watching this show. Like, is he like in a lab coat, like taking? I mean, like, how exactly? He's locked on to Locked On Rams. Let's put it that way. Right. Absolutely. So we definitely know that. So, yeah.
I'm just glad that my face registered the proper reaction to the idea of Russell Wilson putting on a Rams uniform. As long as we got that part right, everything else is good.
Yeah, no, I mean the look on your face, just the thought of it. I feel like you just like envisioned Russell Wilson in a Rams uniform for 1 second, and he's like kind of, yeah.
That's right. Invisible high fives for everyone.
Dangerous, man. Yeah, that's never going to happen. But let's start with an extension that the Rams are looking to get done. And this is definitely an exciting story to talk about because it's an example of how the Rams have developed some internal talent. There's talk that the Rams are looking to get a deal done with Warren McClendon Jr. to sign him to an extension. And according to NFL reporter Tony Pauline, they're looking to get a deal done in short order here. Alec Jackson signed a 3-year, $57 million deal to remain with the Rams at left tackle with $35 million guaranteed. If the Rams plan to re-sign McClendon or extend him before the 2026 season, that possibly could change what they do in the draft. So it's definitely something that you want to get done now. But the bottom line is this is great because we always talking about who's the successor for some of these guys when they're late in their careers. Rob Havenstein was a rock for this franchise, the last remaining St. Louis Ram. He announced his retirement. So to have both your tackles locked up, that's definitely good for the stability of your offensive line.
Absolutely. And not only do you have both of your tackles locked up, take a second and think about where they found both of those tackles. You know, Warren McClendon Jr. was a 5th-round draft pick, right? And all of a sudden you have a starting NFL tackle in the 5th round. Tackles come out of the 1st round typically. That's where you find those are incredibly valuable players. And that they found him in the 5th round speaks again to their ability to draft and develop and get guys. And this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, and I don't mean it like that, but think about where you can go spend the rest of your money if you can find guys that late in the draft that aren't highly regarded, and all of a sudden you've got positions that are locked up that are incredibly important. Alaric Jackson on the other side is an undrafted free agent that they turned into a starting left tackle in the NFL. That's an incredible advantage that they have. Now, I love it. It's funny. We were talking on my radio show yesterday, DeMarco and I, and JB Long put out his list of season-ending awards, and the guy that he had, I think it was like reserve of the year, and he had Warren McClendon on the list. And it's funny because DeMarco was trying to have me guess who all these guys were, and I got this one wrong because I just thought of Warren McClendon as a starter. He started so long during the regular season. He started so many games that I just kind of thought he was ineligible to be, the reserve of the year. That's how good of a player he was. So I love the idea of bringing him back. I thought he held it down really, really well. I think they can do it relatively cheaply, at least according to what the average price of that position may be. But I don't know if I agree, Doug, on whether or not they can still do something different in the draft. They have to find some backup offensive linemen. I don't know if you use it at the top of the draft with their first rounders. Probably not. I saw one mock where they had the kid from Clemson going in the 1st round with one of those first 2 picks, but you need some depth there. That McClendon was the depth. Jackson was the depth. Now at tackle, really you only have AJ Arcuri, who really has never played. I know he's been on the team for a while. He's played in the preseason, and he's one of those guys that they're trying to develop into the next Warren McClendon or the next Alaric Jackson. But they do need to get some depth there because if something happened to one of those 2 guys, they're in the deep end of the pool. So I still think the draft, you do need to address tackle, but they've done a great job of it over the last few years.
Yeah, they do need to find some depth, and I think a bad example of getting depth in a guy that we were pretty excited about when they signed him because of his track record and his history in this league was DJ Humphries. And we thought, he's got experience, a Pro Bowler, and then in that Falcons game, the dude was a cone out there. He was a turnstile, and it was rough. So sometimes your depth, you either go for the veteran pieces that are kind of at the later stages of their career because they're just looking to continue that career any way they can, and sometimes you get solid out of them, or it's get the younger guy and develop him internally. And I kind of prefer the development style because that's what paid dividends with Warren McClendon. Now, I will say, just to kind of just throw something in there to make you think like, man, is it the right time to pay the dude? I will say this. I mentioned the Alaric Jackson extension that they got done, the new deal for Alaric Jackson. Well, he had started 2 full seasons before he signed that deal. And Warren McClendon heading into this year had 5 starts in his career. And then we know the story. Havenstein goes down. He starts 10 games. But I will say, like, the flashes are really, really impressive. I mean, he's just 24 years old, and he had the lowest pressure rate allowed among right tackles at just 2.94%. Like, if you're looking for a statistic that would say, hey, like, this is so impressive, and we want to keep Matthew Stafford vertical. He already understands the system. That's the one where you could say, you know what, let's focus on how he looks because, hey, maybe had he started that many games earlier, he'd have been further along and better.
I think you're right. I think this is one of those, you got to trust what you're seeing in practice. You got to trust what you're seeing in film. You got to trust what you're seeing as far as him being committed to getting better, studying film, being in the weight room. Like if the graph is trending in the right direction and you're seeing these flashes that you're talking about, I think you could feel pretty good about extending him. If every time you ran him out there, if you're Sean McVay, you're holding your breath that he doesn't have a bad day, then probably you're making a different decision. But if you think that you're on the right track, I don't mind. Because look, if he is the good player that we think he is, he's going to be more expensive later than he is now, right? Like, just lock it in and get it done at the lowest rate that you're probably going to get. Now, if you have some doubts in the back of your mind, then maybe you wait a little bit. It might cost you some money down the road, but from what we've seen and from where it started to where we are now, the line is pointed in the right direction. So I would be optimistic of getting something done. And like you said, this team is Matthew Stafford. If Matthew Stafford is not healthy and able to do what he does in the pocket behind that line, then what do you have? I think the answer is not much. And those guys did a really good job of putting him in a position to succeed. And I would be looking to bring him back for sure.
I would too. I mean, I think it's close to a no-brainer, and I expect them to get it done. Now, before we get to the next segment, this was pretty exciting for me because I like Ruben Bain out of Miami, and it's kind of one of the things where, like, wait a second, he's an edge. You have Jared Verse, you have Byron Young. There's talk like maybe they swing big on a Max Crosby deal or something like that. But the Rams were one of 15 teams to meet with Ruben Bain, just kind of a informal, not something too crazy, but they did meet with Ruben Bain at the Combine. I don't know if you saw this. This is one of my favorite quotes from a guy at the Combine in recent years. Ruben Bain said, "I eat, sleep, and breathe football. That's all I do. I don't have any other hobbies." And the internet went crazy, Travis, when they saw his hair. Like, most of these dudes, like, they got their nice outfits on. They get their awesome fade. Their hair looks awesome. Dude looks like he hasn't had a haircut. Wasn't lined up at all. Looks like he ran out of bed. Like, I see the hair. I'm like, oh, this is 5-time All-Pro because he just gives no hex. And he went out there and did a nice little interview.
I didn't know that getting a haircut was a hobby, but apparently it is. So, if he doesn't have any hobbies, including going to the barber, I don't know. But look, anybody that's that serious about it is always a good bet. But, be aware, Doug, that the curse of the short arms, right? That he's got very short arms. This is the dumb football season where we hear stuff like that if no one can stop him on a football field, I don't care if his arms are a quarter inch shorter than you would like them to be. The guy can't be stopped. I'll take that guy.
Exactly. Yeah, all the ridiculous things this time of year. And as far as where the Rams are at, I mean, most of the teams that met with them had a top 10 pick. He's considered to be the best edge, and him and Caleb Downs were the best defensive players. I mean, we saw what those two guys did in the same game, really, in the CFP. But if I'm the Rams, it could be wild stuff happens on the draft. I mean, he could fall, they could trade up, they could like him, like. Buckle up. Like, this is not going to be, I think, a next 2 months where you can just predict everything. I mean, there's going to be some surprises.
Well, I agree with you. I think that what is, really exciting about this draft season for the Rams is that they have those two picks, and I don't want to say they're on the clock in a bad way, but they're on the clock in a real way. They're on a clock in the sense that Matthew Stafford's time is limited. And this is probably a bad comparison on the heels of what the Lakers did the other night against the Suns, but it's a little LeBron-y in that, hey, you got to make sure that you get this done because you don't know what's coming next. And now the Lakers handled that incredibly poorly. I think that the Rams could handle it a lot better. Just kind of think what they did, back in 2021 when they won the Super Bowl. It was hey, let's go all in here. And they hit it. And I think that we might have a similar situation where if it means pairing up those draft picks, if it means using the draft picks to go make a trade to get somebody else that you might like, whether that's another edge, whether that's a corner, whether that's another offensive weapon, I think we're in the season of the Rams kind of saying, forget it, forget the future, at least for the time being. Let's focus on the present. So I'm with you. I think that this time of year, anything can happen. And anybody that thinks they know what's happening next, and unless you're Les Snead and Sean McVay and Kevin Demoff, I don't think you know what's about to happen next.
Exactly. You mentioned those short arms, 31 inches, which is short for a top edge rusher. But if that is what could lead to his slide, which could lead to him going to the Rams at 13, then you say, hey, maybe it's interesting. As far as meeting with the teams, I mean, Les Snead and Sean McVay aren't there, so he's meeting with other Rams personnel, and teams meet with players all the time, so I wouldn't take too much from that. But, it's something pretty exciting to think about. Kind of reminds me of that Peter Griffin Family Guy episode where Peter's got the short arms. It's Ruben Bain, man. Hey, I'm just saying, buckle up. Like, let's if you think it's going to be a quarterback or receiver, we'll see. Until the pick is in, we're going to speculate.
Well, think about the last time the Rams got a chance to draft somebody that everybody else thought was too small. It was Aaron Donald. So, I'm just saying, like, I don't think this guy's the next coming of Aaron Donald, because I don't think we're ever going to see another Aaron Donald. But sometimes, don't trust your lion eyes is a really bad way to go about it, because no one could stop Aaron Donald ever, and they never stopped him. That if you can't be, and short arms, small hands, that's like, come on, man. Can the guy play football or not? And this guy clearly can.
It's a great example right there. Coming up next, though, Anthony Richardson to the Rams. One analyst thinks they should consider this trade. We're going to give you the pros and cons next. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
Have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. And that, at least you get to watch basketball in June, because you're not going to do it if you're a Laker fan, that's for sure. Here's how it works. You use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you will automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the entire experience. So if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love the futures this time of year, because you know who you can scratch off the list, Lakers. Whether it's picking a team to win a championship or grab a conference title, it adds that extra layer of excitement to each and every game down the stretch. And right now, not only can you pick up your cash, but you could also take a trip to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Also, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor, join the Everydayer Club. You've got access to ad-free audio wherever you get your podcast. You get access to a members-only Discord where I'm chiming in. You also get other really cool perks, exclusive merch. You get other discounts, lots of really cool stuff. But most of all, you support your Rams fan. You take your Rams fan to the next level. And it's really cool. I'm seeing Rams fans talk with each other. They're like talking about Max Crosby for a million hours. And it's like, that's really the only place you're going to do that. You're not going to do on Twitter. I mean, you probably don't know, you probably don't have as many Rams friends that are as into it as you. Let's be honest. You think you do, but really it's you don't. Let's be honest. So that's why you got to join the Everydayer Club. I think about the Discord is my favorite part of it. So definitely go and do that. But all right, Travis, here in our second segment here, RG3, he says that the Rams are the perfect trade destination for Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson. So Anthony Richardson definitely has not had the start to his career that he was hoping for. But there are some interesting things. It's the offseason, so we could definitely talk about the pros and cons. The first pro is a very basic one. He's 23 years old. He's right there with Carson Beck and Fernando Mendoza and guys like that as far as their age. So from an age standpoint, he's still extremely young. And if you get him with Sean McVay and you get him in this Rams organization, if you think he has the raw talent, maybe you could mold him.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The talent is. Let me back up a little bit. His athletic ability is clearly off the charts. I don't know if he's a great quarterback. I don't know if anybody knows if he's a great quarterback, but he really hasn't played very much. You go back to his time at Florida, he didn't play very much there. When he got drafted as, I think it was 3rd overall by the Colts a few years ago, it was a huge surprise that they took such a big swing on a guy that hadn't played a ton of football. He clearly was not ready to do what they wanted him to do in Indianapolis. But to your point, Doug, he's just getting started. He really has not played very much. So if you see whatever raw material that you like, if you're Sean McVay, if you're Les Snead, it's interesting. Now, it may be there. He may just not be able. DeMarco said something on our radio shows yesterday that I thought was really funny and spot on. It's not everybody can sing opera, right? It's like playing quarterback is really difficult and complicated. And there's a reason there's 10 good ones on earth, right? Maybe 15 if you really want to expand the definition. So there's probably a much better chance that he cannot than he can. But if you can do it at a relatively cheap price, I think everybody that's a Rams fan would love to see what the Rams offense looks like with somebody that can move their feet. Because what we've seen with Sean McVay is Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford, both really good quarterbacks, one of them a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they've done nothing but be good every season, go to the Super Bowl a couple of times. Like, they've been outstanding. Matthew Stafford just won an MVP. But if the play doesn't work, it's kind of dead in the water. We saw what happened, in the playoffs, where there just wasn't an opportunity to kind of pick up that first down when the play breaks down, because that's not what Matthew Stafford does. If there is somebody that could do that, go back a couple of years ago when the Rams were in Indy, and he had one of his great games where Rams were just kicking the you-know-what out of the Colts, and all of a sudden Richardson just kind of snapped in, and he went off for about a quarter, and you're like, well, how do you even stop this guy? Now, they figured it out, like the entire league seemed to figure it out, but give Sean McVay some time. If it's not expensive, if you could come in, develop him. I don't want him jumping the line and being ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo is the perfect backup, but if you could kind of put him on ice and develop him over some time, that's a really interesting idea. I don't think it's going to happen, but I like it as an idea.
As an idea, it's intriguing when you kind of start to dive into it. And I love that you brought up the game that he had against the Rams a couple years ago, because I went back and I was looking into it, and it was a pretty wild quote from Matthew Stafford after. After that game, he said, "Holy ish." Of course, not those words. This is a family show. He said, "Holy ish." He says, "Talented as they come. That is really impressive. Made some throws in the pocket and outside the pocket. Runs great too. The sky's the limit, and I'm just happy for his success." That's Matty Stafford saying that about him. So that's where my next pro is. My next pro is that there is a lot of just raw talent in there. That, as you point out, he has not played in a ton of games in his college career, even his NFL career. He has dealt with the injuries, but he's made just 15 starts since he was drafted 4th overall by the Colts in 2023. But you look at the arm strength, and that's certainly an area where you say, wow, like that's something you can't teach. You can't teach arm strength. And when arm strength is a concern, then it's like, oh, we have to design the offense around that. There's limitations to what we can do. And Sean McVay is a guy who clearly doesn't like limitations, and that's why Matthew Stafford is their quarterback. So, that's having got arm talent that can hit every receiver in the entire field, having no limitations, that definitely is a pro for me.
It is. Now, can he throw it from the goal line to the goal line? Yeah, probably. Can he make the more impossible, difficult throws? Probably. Can he make the easy ones? Can he articulate what needs to be done? We were talking about this the other day. One of my favorite Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford moments is that classic thing where you can hear McVay's voice in Stafford's helmet, and he's like, yeah, I got it. Like, stop talking. I know what you want here. Let me do it. And then he's looking to he's like, the guy's still talking in my ear. Like, it was, even Matthew Stafford at that point was frustrated because, like, dude, enough. Let me do my job. That's Matthew Stafford. That's a guy that's been in the league for nearly 2 decades. That's a guy that's heard and knows all of the football language from the beginning of time. Richardson is somebody that you would need to simplify, I think, some of these things, not for intellect or any of that kind of stuff, but rather just from experience and being able to take it in, spit it back out. Matthew Stafford's like, dude, leave me alone. If you have a guy that's as green as Richardson is, you're going to have to really do that. I don't know if Sean McVay, A, can, or B, would want to, until you start to watch the guy run, until you start to watch just the physical package, and then you start to think maybe you'd want to work with it. Like I said, I don't see this happening, but it's a fun thought experiment.
It is it's definitely, that's what it is. The thought experiment. You bring up the struggles though, and the accuracy concerns. The velocity, the arm strength is there, but my biggest concerns would be he's not been good when he's been healthy. So it's like there's really never been a stretch outside of kind of those handful of moments where you say, wow, like this guy has proven to be accurate enough as a quarterback to be a franchise guy. He's only completed 47.7% of his passes in 2024, 59.5% of his passes when he was a rookie, still 13 interceptions to 11 touchdowns in his career. And then on top of that, the durability issues are a major concern, but also there was some freak stuff. The last year, he had a fractured orbital bone, and it happened in some freak accident during warm-ups. So that's something that you can say, like, will that happen again? But even in college, there were some accuracy issues. So that's the thing. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks have great arms, but just don't know where to place that football. So it might be just too intensive a project. The other con, too, is he only has one more year left on his rookie contract, too. So that's kind of he only has one more guaranteed season. So that's another thing as well. You'd have to really, really buy into the fact that he could be that guy. I will always go back to what Les Snead said when he was slipping on Between the Horns with, I think it was JB Long. I'm almost sure it was him, when he said that having a running quarterback is going to be a cheat code, right? So it was clear that they showed their hand a little bit, like, hey, Matthew Stafford's successor is going to have the ability to get something on the ground, and Richardson certainly has that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that what we're talking about is not like a running quarterback that's like looking to run, but somebody that can make something happen when they have to run. The best version of that, I think, is Josh Allen, who can sit back there and just carve you up. But when it's like, okay, nothing's there, I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to make it happen with my legs. I think that's every coach's dream, is to have a guy that can do the quarterback stuff first and the escape artist stuff, battering rams second.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, 6'4", 244, and runs a 4.4, 340. Like, those measurements, that's like, hey, like, we're in a lab building a quarterback, right? Yeah. Like, that's kind of what that looks like. But I'm with you. I think it's too big of a project. I think it's too big of a project. I think the 1 year of guaranteed kind of scares me. I will say, though, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold. Like, is that the new theme of the NFL, is change of scenery guy, and you plug him into a team that has a lot invested on defense, has invested in playmakers, and it's a copycat league. And the Seahawks, what they just proved, or the Rams should have beat them, week 16, yes, what the Rams just proved is there's certainly a model there.
There is. I think what's kind of interesting is I don't think there's going to be, a million teams beating a path to the Colts' door to try to get Richardson. I don't think that you're going to have to really move heaven and earth to get something done. But to your point, the time you have to work on it is relatively limited. So unless you're willing to reinvest in something for the long term to see whether or not it works, I think it's a challenge. I would like to be able to kind of live in an alternate timeline just to see what it looks like. But I kind of feel like I know what Sean McVay likes, and I don't know if a guy that can't hit a guy that's wide open with a 10-yard pass, something that Sean McVay would really be thrilled to work with on a regular basis.
Yeah, and he could be the Daniel Jones of Cam Newton's. Like, we just don't know. And I think the thing that kills me, I don't know if you remember this a couple years ago, is he revealed against the Texans in a game that he subbed himself out of a game because he was, quote, tired. Ain't gonna lie.
No. We're not doing it.
All right, yeah. Well, we got to do it, man. In the words of Randy Jackson, that's no for me, dog. All right. But now we've talked about it. Now let's talk about Matthew Stafford. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft. Let's go. With 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy, there is something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I've got my number one pick for the 5-Hour Energy Draft. Ready? Here you go. No question about it. It's Fruity Rainbow. You look at my face. I look like a Fruity Rainbow sort of guy, don't I? Right? And I love it. It's great. But more than anything else, I love the fact that it gives you that little thing to get through the rest of your day. And you're just feeling like you're kind of getting a little low, and then boom, Fruity Rainbow, and you're right back to the top. 5-Hour Energy gives you a boost with zero sugar. That includes the Fruity Rainbow, my personal favorite. Had one earlier this week when I was a little bit kind of, man, I don't know what I'm going to do to get through the end of the day. Bam! Fruity Rainbow, right back to it. So find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots. Give that Fruity Rainbow a try. Available online at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Travis, so The Athletic is reporting that Matthew Stafford will be in demand when his playing career ends as a TV analyst, and ESPN is already eyeing him. This is really interesting. I'm very curious to get your opinion on this because we've seen throughout history, Joe Montana, Sandy Koufax, even Magic Johnson. Like, sometimes the greats aren't great as analysts, and sometimes it's like the guys that you wouldn't expect are really great. I will say I think Tom Brady has rounded into form as a really solid to honestly, I think is going to be great as an analyst. But what say you about Matthew Stafford and his future as an NFL TV analyst?
See, people that watch the podcast closely, Doug, are probably looking at their watches right now saying, they haven't done it yet. They haven't done it yet. And here we are. And I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to make sure that it's in there. You know that Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw went to high school together, that they were childhood friends, right? So I would assume that guys that like to hang out with each other in high school are kind of similar mind, right? We've seen Clayton Kershaw on television. We know that he got hired by, I think it's by NBC, that's going to be a part of their pregame coverage when it comes to their Major League Baseball coverage. Kershaw is awesome because he's funny, because he's accomplished, because he's opinionated, because he's quick-witted, all of those things. So if they were buddies in high school, which I don't know if anybody knows this, they were, and Matthew Stafford has those same qualities, it's going to be a home run. He's insightful. He knows the game. He's accomplished. So when he says something, it has the authority of like when Troy Aikman says it, or, one of these other great quarterbacks says it. It's not like some guy that's just kind of yapping like you and me that, never did it. So he's got that. He's got the presence of that. He's got that quarterback energy, or whatever you want to call it, where you come in and you kind of command the whole room. I think he'd be great at it. I really do. In the limited time that I've, got to spend in and around, with him and listen to him talk, directly, it's very compelling. I think he'd have to learn the business of TV or the mechanics of TV, but it's not that hard. I think he would be great. I don't know when it would happen. He's still playing at such a high level. I think that, you're going to get at least one more year. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a multiple year deal coming his way before two. And I'm not talking 5 or 6. I'm talking 2. But I think he'd be great on TV, just like I think Clayton Kershaw is going to be great on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to see Stafford just have one more kid. So basically they have 5 kids each. They're both Hall of Famers in their sports. They both went to Hyde Park and Highland Park high school in Dallas, Texas. They're both going to be future Hall of Famers. It's crazy how their lives mirror each other, played their careers in LA. I mean, Chris Kershaw at 18 and Matthew Stafford's best years here. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that like we don't even know if like this was something he wants to do. It just means they're eyeing him, right? And this is a guy who doesn't need to work financially. No. There's a lot of prep involved. You got to really be locked in. I certainly think, though, he has been doing the 9 and dime stuff. He has been doing the podcast with Jim Gray. So, like, I kind of really hit. I was like, wait a minute. He has been kind of like setting himself up for doing something after football, and it doesn't mean it's money. He just wants to stay active and stay a part of the game. And here's the thing: like, if he really wants to get into it, like Kobe had that thing detail after he retired where he wasn't trying to be his hot take artist. He was just breaking down basketball, and it was really fascinating because it's from the mind of Kobe. Like, I would like to see it from Matthew Stafford, like just watching him break down quarterbacks without having to try to be some like big hot take artist. I think it would be like really awesome too. Something kind of unique where it's like this dude knows ball to a level that no one else does. It'd be really cool to see.
That's it. And I thought you said something really interesting about it is a lot of work on TV. But here's the thing. It's a lot less work than it is working as an NFL quarterback, right? So yes, you'd have to prep, but he's probably prepping, a 10th, a 20th of the time he would spend to actually go play a game. So I think the workload is a piece of cake. The lifestyle's pretty darn good. I would imagine that he could be, as comfortable as he wants to be. And look, while he's old for an athlete, he's young for a human being. And I don't know if he just wants to go put his feet up somewhere and do nothing for the next 10 or 15 years. So if he wants TV's going to be there for him. He's got the right look. It's all of that stuff. And, the football of it is pretty easy transition to go from prepping for a game to prepping for a TV broadcast. It's just whether or not he would be fired up to go do the Titans against the Jacksonville Jags on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. I don't know. Maybe he would. Maybe he wouldn't. We'll see. But whether or not he could do it, I don't have much doubt about that at all. I think he'd be great at it.
I did too. And now I'm rooting for him to have a longer career because I'm afraid he's going to take one of our jobs at Locked On Rams. And I don't want to say I don't think Locked On if Matthew Stafford wanted this job, I don't think that they would replace one of us. I mean, I just don't. He's got to go somewhere else. Like it's.
Look, I don't know what they might be willing to hook up, Matt, but I would imagine it's probably not what a major network might be able to do, but you never know. Maybe David.
Hey, throw him on the Squad Show. Him and Brockers would kill. I'm just saying. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. And you can follow the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, and catch his radio show, DeMarco and Travis, 3 to 6, ESPN LA 710. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.